Beautiful tan skin, beautiful eyes, 2 moles under the eye, mole on the chest. Shoot, there's no telling where other places she has moles at. A super diligent, hardworking girl that knows how to cook. What more could any other person ask for than this girl? Greetings, all my fellow men of culture out there. Yes, it is time. It is time for the Tan Maid. She is finally here. The Maid I Hired Recently is Mysterious is a series that is airing in the summer 2022 anime season. Is it more than just a really good looking maid? Well, we're about to get into that with my first impressions of the series, so let's jump right into it. The Maid I Hired Recently is Mysterious opens up with a boy named Yuri. He is the young master of this house. It looks like his parents unfortunately passed away due to a car accident. That famous car accident taking out parents thing. And unfortunately, his family wasn't too rich. They did have a mansion and everything, but it was a very small mansion. But Yuri doesn't really want to give up this mansion. It's like this is their family right here. So he decides to kind of cut back. He lets go all of his maids and butlers and kind of lives there alone, taking care of it by himself. Well, this kind of proves to be a little bit more difficult than he expected. Cooking, cleaning, all this stuff, he's terrible at it, obviously, because he's a young master. Well, one night while he's at the end of his rope, this maid shows up at his doorstep. She has these very alluring eyes. She's very attractive, but also she offers to work for free. The only thing that she's really asking for is a place to stay, to be an in-house maid. And while Yuri keeps saying no, he says, I don't have any money, you're too suspicious, you show up out of nowhere, all this stuff. Eventually, he agrees because his stomach starts growling. And so upon accepting her to be his maid, she starts to work there and she does an incredible job. Everything is super clean. His clothes smell really good when they're washed. She cooks good food, all this stuff. But the entire time, he's constantly believing that this girl is scheming something. There's no way that she showed up out of nowhere. There's no way that she's this good at cleaning. There's no way that she's good at cooking. And this kind of turns into the shtick. He'll confront her, ask her what she's scheming. What are you doing? What do you want? What's your end game? But all the while, she keeps kind of being pretty honest to him, but at the same time, it always turns into being like this misunderstanding. So when he asks, what are you scheming? She's like, oh yeah, obviously I'm scheming. Well, you were reading books late at night in the library. You were cooking up something. Well, yes, I was. You were trying to poison my food. Yeah, I was technically putting some love potion in there. Everything that she says, even though she's kind of forward about, trying to be good to him and trying to make him like her, always turns into some sort of misunderstanding that he thinks that she is this evil entity when in fact she's just kind of being overly doty. And towards the later part of the first episode, we get an indication that Lilith kind of knows who Yuri is. We don't know exactly why, but you do get this little kind of brief scene where she gets a note that seems to indicate that she knew when Yuri's parents passed away, and she immediately dropped what she was doing, left the estate that she was at, and ran all the way to his place. Additionally, Yuri at some point did mention the idea that she seems familiar somehow. Maybe that she worked with them before, or maybe that she is some sort of, I don't know, mysterious being that he met once before. The OP kind of indicates something. So is she a witch? Is she a sorcerer? Is she some sort of entity? Is she a succubus? That's all like the big question mark in the background as the two of these just kind of live day by day with him being suspicious of her and her just trying to take care of him. And obviously having a thing for him. And Yuri being a young boy that does not understand why his heart goes doki doki. Let's just be honest, that's really the shtick here. The hot maid and the boy that doesn't understand why his heart's beating so much. Yes, that's kind of the shtick here. Honestly, my overall thoughts of this show so far is that, yes, I really do like Lilith. Her character design is phenomenal. This is technically from the creator and technically the same studio and team that worked on Jahi-sama Will Not Be Defeated. So if you liked Jahi from Jahi Will Not Be Defeated, Lilith is technically Jahi. Let's be honest. I mean, she's a little bit more filled out and everything, and again, she's technically a maid, but the eyes are kind of similar, the gaze, yes, the tan skin. The character art itself is phenomenal, and it's very similar. But yes, I think the big question that some people are going to be having that are watching this, that probably didn't get my joke at the very beginning is, so is there anything besides Lilith? Is there something here besides that? So far, not really. I'm going to be brutally honest. This is, if you like her character design, you're going to like this show. You're going to like the Tan Maid per week episode. Outside of her, we haven't really got too much to sink our teeth into. Just a lot of misunderstandings about a young boy not understanding what these feelings are when there's this very attractive and very doting maid with him. It's kind of like the Duke of Death and his maid, but where you have the Duke is younger and doesn't understand why the maid's coming after him. Technically, that was the case with Duke, but eventually he fell in love with her. Yuri's mind is very juvenile, and it's constantly running in multiple directions. He doesn't understand what he's facing before him, and that attractiveness of Lilith is something that the viewer is going to enjoy while he's not going to understand. It's the oh poor you syndrome for kind of like your typical harem character where they're like, oh, why are these things all around me? All of these mounds are in my face. What do I do? There's a little bit of frustration there. The comedy's kind of okay. I do technically like the nature of Yuri's a little bit juvenileness. It's not too annoying because he's kind of drawn these massive conclusions that are kind of entertaining. Again, asking her if she's a sorceress, and she's like, oh yes, I'm a sorceress. I enchanted you with my eye. And then when she goes to actually correct, like, nah, I'm just joking, he immediately jumps, I knew it. I knew you were a sorceress. I knew that you were trying to put a spell on me, and then it just completely ruins the situation. But it always kind of turns around in the idea that he overly states things. Like with the sorceress thing, he immediately says, I knew it. There can only be one reason why I'm so attracted to you. I can't stop looking at you. You're so beautiful and all this kind of stuff. And it immediately flusters her and she has to leave the room. But I do like the fact that Lilith is not like this perfect maid. It does kind of address at some point that she's staying up all night just to learn how to cook to do better for him. Why he caught her in the library reading all these books and murmuring to herself is because she was trying to learn how to do housekeeping. You do have this kind of nature that Lilith isn't like this perfect maid, but she's trying to learn how to be, which made me kind of question what she was doing before. Maybe it was just kind of a maid role where she wasn't a major role, so that she didn't know a lot of things. Whereas in this case, she's the sole maid, and so she wants to learn how to do this stuff really well. So it kind of shows how hardworking she is and how much she cares for taking care of Yuri, which will make me really question what they'll end up turning that into, if it'll be something really significant. Because I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm getting a little bit of vibe of something like Shonen Maid. For those that have not watched Shonen Maid, it was basically about this boy who had to work as a maid at this house. And yes, there was a shenanigans about this boy having to clean rooms and stuff like that, but mixed in there was this wholesome nature of having a place to be. And I feel like this might eventually do something like that. Again, does she know who Yuri was? The only reason she left is because there was plenty of people to take care of him, and now that she doesn't have anybody to take care of him, she rushes to his rescue. Does she have some sort of connection with him? Was she some sort of, again, succubus or demon that showed up at some point when he was younger and she fell in love with him but then left? I'll be curious to see where that connection is, because it obviously seems like Lilith really does care for Yuri. But we'll see. For now, it's just really hot tan maid. She's very good looking. I love her character design. There's plenty of art out there if you're a huge fan of this already. There is tons of art out there of Lilith, and it's good art. But that's my first impressions of the maid I hired recently as Mysterious. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what's thought of the series if you're going to be checking it out. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon or through our tips link in the description below. Definitely appreciate everybody that does. And y'all take care.